Morning guys, so day 2 of the Portway. Last night I ended up staying in a farmer's field, so I couldn't pitch my tent till basically it was dark, so about 9:30 in the evening. By that time it was too dark to really do any filming, plus the battery on my camera just about ran out. Got off the field at dawn, had some breakfast, and we're back on the track. It is now around 8 AM. So yesterday I did 28 kilometers. Today we've got slightly shorter, we're doing about 24 kilometers. Fortunately I've managed to book in at a campsite. Today we are walking up Alport Heights, which is around 300 meters above sea level. So then we're going to walk down into the historical market town of Wirksworth, then up to Grange Mill, and then heading up towards Birchover. It was quite warm last night in the tent, so let's get cracking on the Portway. We're just passing Hollywood House, and it fits the destination, although not in the right place, with its big pillars, entranceway, big driveway, and there's about 89 monkey trees. I think there's a theme going off here. So we've just gone past Hollywood House, just looked on the internet. It is a glitzy place for group events, and now we're walking past Starbuck House. I wonder what's next. So we've just about reached our summit point of first hill of the day, 192 meters above sea level. Just looking across the landscape. Not so clear to see today because it's slightly hazy. But in the centre of the picture now on the horizon, you can just about make out the mass. That's Alport Heights, where we're aiming to next. Well, I've got to say, I think this is the smallest area that's covered in electric fence I've ever seen. I've got barely enough size to put my tent up in there. I wonder why it's all electric for that. Just looks like a bit of grass. Excuse the puffing and panting, but the last 2-3 kilometers is all uphill. And it's about 74-75 degrees at the minute. So quite warm. Plus I'm carrying a pack. But now we can see Alport Heights in front of us. I was actually mistaken last time I said 3 kilometers, it was actually 3 miles, so that's about 4.8 kilometers. So we're getting there. I would say, looking at that, must be about 8 fields and we're there. Probably a bit more. So the countryside code says the state of the footpath. Now, does that mean as there's no boundary at this stile either side, that I have to cross the stile, or can I go around it? Answers on a postcard or in the comments. Horses galloping across the field. As we approach Alport Heights, we look across the centre of the screen now. We can see like a rock face on the horizon. At the top of that is Kreitz Tower, a memorial tower to the Mercian Regiment. So looking across that way, that would be towards Matlock. But we are still going this way. It's Alport Heights. So the 6 significant masks, iconic landmarks. There is a 7, well there's 8 actually. Now they are all telecommunication masts. Back in World War II there was an observation post here The observation corps would warn the military if they saw planes flying over. This direction would be flying towards Manchester or away from Manchester as we go across the Peak District. Previously to that, there was an iron fort here. We can take a little rest here. Now I've reached the brow. I think we're at 319 metres above sea level now. Well, that's cool. Spitfire flying over Alport Heights just as I get to the summit. So looking over the Derbyshire Dales landscape. And right into the middle of the Dales there. And then coming across we can see the wind turbines of Carsonton Pastures, which we'll be heading up to later today. It is a pity that today is a bit hazy, because at the top of Alport Heights on a clear day you can see the Wrekin on the Shropshire hills near Telford, and also Lyke Hill, I may pronounce that wrong, Lyke, which is south of Birmingham, both of which are 80 kilometres away. Which is ironic enough because the Portway is also 80 kilometres long. Where I mentioned Wrekin Hill, I may pronounce that one wrong again, like usual, but a couple of miles or so from the Welsh border. So on a clear day you can just about see Wales from here. Rock in front of us, just see the edge of it, we'll get a bit closer to it in a moment, stands 6.5 metres high. It is a piece of gritstone that has been quarried and placed here. Nobody really knows the reason why it was placed here, of all places. The area of Derbyshire we're in now is more renowned for limestone rather than gritstone. The reason why it's called the White Peak and the Dark Peak is White Peak is limestone and Dark Peak is gritstone. So when we get Mam Tor, I think it's limestone though. We'll find out when we get there. Also, the area that we're on now, the Alport Heights, is managed by the National Trust, and it was the first as a natural landmark location that they acquired in 1930. As I say, a little bit hazy today, but this is where we're heading to next, towards well, down into the valley to Wirksworth, which is slightly over there. You can just about see a few buildings there, and then from there we'll go up to Carsonton Pastures, and just behind Carsonton Pastures, I can only just make it with my eye, not sure if you'll be able to see it with the camera, is Harbour Rocks, where we'll be heading over the top of those, and then heading on towards Winster and then Birchover. Big old bull there standing over his cattle, over his madams. Our Lady and St Teresa's Catholic Church in Gorsey Bank. We are just arriving in the market town of Wirksworth. This market town has expanded over the centuries from several sources. Lead is a local commodity as well as the local quarried stone, mainly limestone. It also had hot thermal springs, which is why the Romans had a settlement nearby. Lead mining paid for several of the grander buildings in the town, including the expansions of the 6th century church of St Mary's. The mining was so popular in the area that in the 1500s the king granted that anyone could mine for lead anywhere in the vicinity of the town, apart from churchyards, gardens or roadways. Sir John Gell of the 1600s owned the majority of the land in the area where the mines were set up. Sir John also fought on the side of Parliament in the English Civil War. In the past, woolly rhino bones have been found near the town, and the source of the River Ecclestone comes from the town too. On the outskirts of Wirksworth is Holland Mill, originally built as a cotton mill by Richard Arkwright in 1770, and was the first mill in the world to operate using a steam engine. The mill then in the 1880s became the place that government red tape that bound documents was manufactured. A big church in a small market town came from money as Wirksworth developed as a town from the mining of lead. Inside the entrance of the church is carvings of David and Goliath, and on the opposite side of the doorway is a stone carving called the Queen of Hearts. This carving looks like Anglo-Saxon carvings I've seen in the past. Although the Anglo-Saxon period ended in the 11th century, this church was built in the 13th century, although parts of it are still date back to the 6th century. Throughout the church are historical stone carvings, including Toad Man of Bonsall, carrying a pickaxe and a kibble, which is a basket to carry his lead. The shape of his face looks to date back to Anglo-Normans, and the carving is believed to be the oldest visual description of a lead miner in the world. This is the Moot Hall, a medieval courthouse which was built to solely deal with the lead mining laws of the local area. We can see on the exterior of the Moot Hall has two distinctive decorative plaques and another bearing an inscription that details the origins of the building. The plaque on the left has symbols illustrating the building's role as a court of law, while the one on the right is engraved with objects relating to lead mining. These include the rights of any miner to enter any land within the jurisdiction of these laws in search of lead, and special rules relating to the royalties in the form of volumes of lead ore measured using a standard dish that had to be paid to both the Crown and the landowner. These unique laws are administered here at the Barmot Court. King Henry VIII granted a charter in the 16th century to hold a miners' court in Wirksworth, although it is believed a similar building was here much earlier when the mining was thriving in Saxon Britain. The Barmot Court still meets here every year in April to control all matters of lead mining. It's not usual music you hear coming from a Baptist cemetery. This is the old lockup in Wirksworth. It's an old police station that is now a bed and breakfast guest house, but it's also where D.H. Lawrence, the author, and his wife Frida, who was a German, had to report to on a weekly basis during the Great War. And he lived locally at Mountain Cottage. This was the last place that D.H. Lawrence lived in the UK before moving to Germany with his wife. So we're going to head out of Wirksworth and then head up towards Harbour Rocks now and the High Peak Trail. Wirksworth Quarry. Okay, it is a bit breezy, but hopefully you can hear me. So in the centre of the picture is a chimney. That is the Chimney of Middleton top. It was it's a restored steam engine house that was built in 1829, I believe, by the Butterley Company to haul the wagons up the steep incline from High Peak Junction workshops. Now it follows the path along the High Peak Trail and Pennine Bridleway. To the right a little bit, where that's little outcrop with some trees on the top, it's called Black Rocks. Anyway, we're continuing. We will pick up onto the High Peak Trail in a little bit. As we reach the top of the hill from Wordsworth, we go past this standing stone, believed to be a marker for where travellers. So we've just reached the summit. I think we're about 310 metres above sea level at the minute, although we've got another summit to go to in a moment as we're walking up this hill. In front is the sand and gravel works, and the big wind turbines are part of Carsington Pastures, which all the wind turbines were installed around 2012, 8 years ago. And we're going to just carry on along here a little bit. Should pick up the High Peak Trail. The windmill here dates back to the 1780s, and it was eventually disused in 1930. Just looking over there is Harbour Rocks, and if we look dead centre at the moment, just below the outcrop, might be able to make out a little bit of a hole. That is the cave of Harbour Rocks. It's a natural cave, although Harbour Rocks is renowned for lead mining from going back to the Roman times. When it's been excavated in the past years, it's found things all the way from the Ice Age and Bronze Age. So we've just reached the exact halfway point of the Portway. So if you go that way for 40 kilometres, you arrive at the Hemlock Stone in Nottinghamshire. And if you go this way for 40 kilometres, you'll get to Mam Tor, and that's the way we're going now. And if you see the path in front, this white chalky path, probably crushed limestone, is the path we're taking now. So we're just coming into Grange Mill. The Hollybush Inn is a 16th century coaching inn. Sounds like it's saying alert. Do you think there's enough signs to say that logs for sale and sticks? area we're passing now, as you can see, there's loads of little mounds. Within those mounds are all actual disused mines. Just in this field alone there's meant to be about 9 or 10. I believe it would be lead, probably calcite, fluoride, all disused now. Anyway, we're still heading along this trail. We're going to take a left here on this footpath, and that's going to take us up towards the Limestone Way and towards Winster. The land around here is scattered with disused shafts. As you can see, the concrete is blocking that one, and there's some more there, and then up against the wall there's another one there. Now I believe there are several on this side, possibly this one as well. So as you can see, lead mining was a big thing back in the day around this area. A lot of wealth was made from the Derbyshire Peat District. Stop. So we're heading towards Winster, which you should see on the right hand side soon. And that's Winster down in the valley there. Now the Winster was famous for the centre of the lead industry. Now every year they have Winster Wakes, which is a week of celebrations. It's usually held on the last Sunday of June, which actually falls to be St. John the Baptist Day. And they close up down the streets. They do Morris dancing as a way of celebration. And then there's several other events they do as well. Okay guys, so we've just about finished day 2 and we are in Winster. Managed to get a campsite, so I'm going to stay at the campsite tonight. Hopefully you've enjoyed Alport Portway. So obviously part 2 will be next week. So hopefully you're enjoying it so far. We're just over halfway, so it's going all well. Like usual, stay safe, look after yourselves, and bye-bye hikers.